us all with a big kiss. Oh, hey guys. Welcome to. I got 8:30.
All right, guys, in case you are watching us, we are waiting for the commercial to end. You may or may not see it. Are we good?
I can see it, not yet. We're on.
All right, guys. Hi, it's Karen and Andy. It's the Karen and Andy show. No, seriously, we're really glad that you guys are here, and we're going to start right off the bat with a disclaimer. This is not your typical professional Advocare nationwide Ustream. This is us, Andy and Karen, your leaders, and we invited our team to be in our living room. We're going to do this every Sunday night. We're calling it Team Time, and we're really, really glad you're here. We're going to refer to notes. We have a purpose, we have a plan for tonight, and we just want you to flow with it. We're excited. We are very, very excited. Here's what our plan is. You know, we're thinking about how we're about to move into Success School, and our team is growing so much, and you are all over the nation now, and you have great leaders. Some of you are brand new, some of you are trying to learn how to lead. And what we want to do is we just want to connect with you every Sunday night between now and Success School. We may go past that. We'll see how everybody feels, if people are excited and they're continuing to plug in. But basically the purpose of these Ustreams is to, one, connect with those of you that we don't get to see all the time, to teach you, to train you. We really want to work with those of you that are hungry enough to get on a computer Ustream on a Sunday night. Okay, this is your weekend, and we know that. The format is going to be really simple. We are going to meet up every Sunday night at 8:30 Central Time, and for 30 minutes or so, we're going to train you on some particular topic. And then when that's over, we will go ahead for a little bit longer until 9:30 and let you text us some questions. Okay, so it's Q&A. So think of it as if we were your personal mentors side by side with you, that maybe we personally recruited you. That doesn't happen once Advocare gets big, but that's what we want to do with you tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would also encourage you guys to grab a journal, maybe something that not necessarily new, but something that you can dedicate some multiple Ustreams to, because this is going to be a series for you guys, for us and y'all, and so grab a pen and a journal. And maybe once you get that journal, and if you can just start with writing down your commitment, hey, I'm going to commit to these Sunday night Ustreams for the duration that we do them, because that's what we've done. We've committed to doing this Ustream in our living room every Sunday night for a while, and so I'm going to encourage you guys to do that. Get you a pen and journal. We're fixing to go over some great stuff, and I hope you have it in hand and commit. Just say this is what we're going to be doing.
Okay, and let me talk to you a little bit about the training topics. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to start thinking about what we see out there in the field with our distributors, what we're hearing, just some of the trends that we're noticing. So we're going to flow with our training topics. Sometimes it might be right at the last minute, something God lays on my heart that I just know that will help you. All we really know is that whatever we talk about are things that we've walked through. And for those of you who don't know us, Andy and I have been doing Advocare for 10 years now, since 2003. We started just like everybody else with a distributor kit at ground zero, and now we're living a different life. Okay, so we don't work any other job anymore. Andy quit his job. He worked at a chemical plant for 33 years, and to be able to walk away at age 51, it was very freeing for us. So we have the freedom that we want you to have. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to share things that will maybe speed up your process by the mistakes that we made and the things that we've walked through. Okay, you might want to talk about the topics if they want to email us anything.
Well, definitely, with that pen and journal, write down some questions as we walk through what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is the topic tonight's fear, and it's going to be great. you might write down some questions that you have, because we've got 30 minutes when this is over. After this first 30-minute segment, we're going to have some questions and answers, and that's just going to be. Was there something else you wanted to
Well,
cover?
the other thing is we're going to be choosing topics along the way, but if you're sitting somewhere across the nation and there's a topic that you are interested in, maybe something that you'd really like to learn, something that you'd like some help with, you can email us at beliefinone@me.com. Okay, and we don't know when we might get to it, but we welcome that. We want to know what you need help with. Okay, so that's just a suggestion that we have. The other thing we want to share with you up front, and if you're thinking at all in terms of building your business now and building a team, the most important thing you want to think about is duplication. We want you to know the resources that are out there. Okay, so I could stand here and teach you all the things that are already on the Advocare training sites, or we can teach you some things that we just have experienced. And so that's our goal, is that we're going to walk through more of the experiences and the little nuggets that we call them in Advocare that we've learned along the way. But I want you to understand some of the most important training resources for you, and there's a lot of them out there. I'm going to give you the ones that we believe are the best place to start. Okay, the first one is our team website. Now, most of you are probably very familiar with that, but it's teambelief.biz, teambelief.biz, and we may be changing some of that soon, but right now just look there for the training resources, how we do mixers, some help there, the calendar, all of that stuff. The other thing is advocaretraining.com. That is always going to be your main resource. Okay, that's Danny and Diane McDaniel's site. They're our leaders, and that site has all of the video training you need. It's going to cover the pay plan and all of the different things that we're going to share with you. We may be pointing you back to that website for training videos. Okay, I will tell you that on there, Danny and Diane did something similar to this a while back. They called it Coaches Clinic. Now, they were very specific in their topics, and it was nationwide, but those recordings are on advocaretraining.com also, so you would love those. They cover a lot of the most important things for the fundamentals of your business. Okay, two other things that I want to mention, because for me, these were monumental in our journey in helping us along the way to grow. One of them is Charlie Regis, the founder of our company. Charlie Regis's Notes on Success. It's a 4-CD set, and you can get them at Advocare. You can get them online at your site, and you can also download them, can't you? Yeah, you can download them for those of you that like to, listen with your iPod and stuff. And I'm telling you, Andy and I have been talking to so many distributors lately who are telling us we listen to those over and over and over again in our car. And that excites us, because we know that if you will continue to listen to Charlie, the founder of our company, you are going to know what you need to know to grow this business. So Notes on Success. And let me give you a little hint. That makes a great gift. As you start recruiting and you get people to Advisor and they tell you they're serious about their financial future, about changing things in their family, hand them that. It's such an investment to give somebody else by putting that in their hands. Now they have the ability to empower themselves. So Charlie Regis, Notes on Success. And then this is something really personal for Andy and I. But of course, for hundreds and hundreds and thousands of distributors across the nation, Ron Reynolds. Okay, one of the things about Advocare and about life in general when you want to be successful is that you seek wisdom. That you go where wisdom is, that you open books, that you listen to tapes, that you learn from people who have more wisdom than you. And Ron Reynolds, who works for Advocare, and he simply has more wisdom than I would say almost anybody we know, right? And he taught us so much. So there's a couple of ways that you can get Ron Reynolds' wisdom for how to be successful in life for your Advocare distributorship, and it's daily. You can feed yourself daily, and there's two different ways to do it. One, he has a book. It's called Vitamins for the Mind, and secondly, you can go right on his Facebook. Let's see, his Facebook is Ron L. Reynolds, his Facebook page. So just go to that, because it's going to make such a difference for you. Okay, so those are a few things.
I'll add one to that, and obviously these videos and the training part of it when it comes to computers, this is something that you don't want to do during the daytime when you could be talking to people and you could be doing like day-to-day business with AdvoCare. This is something that, at nighttime or early in the morning, when you've got the time to really get on the computer and just noodle around, when you know that nobody else is going to be up, or there's no phone calls to make, or there's no daily activity to do, that's really when you want to plug into this thing. And I want to add one more website, and it's your AdvoCare website. Policies and procedures. I encourage all of you, I challenge all of you to download that, print it out, read AdvoCare's policies and procedures. And the reason is because there's so many questions that we get. So many people call us wanting to know about so many different things that are really covered in the policies and procedures. This is your business. You're the CEO of your business, and so you want to know what the rules are for your business, and you don't want to be out there saying things that aren't the right things to say, or having things printed that aren't the right things to have printed. So just know that that's there for you, and I really want to encourage you guys to read that and understand what we can do and what we can't do here, because this is a business that a lot of people are earning great incomes at. We want to be sure that we take care of that. We want to be protecting our house, like Joe Hadachek says, and it's the right thing to do. So, I want to encourage you guys to really learn those policies and procedures, understand what we're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah, and just a simple tip. I remember when we first started, that policies and procedures, I printed the document out, put it in a binder. Many of you have done that, and then there's others of you that may not even know that it exists. So you want to make sure you take ownership of that. And there's a saying in AdvoCare, and it's that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And part of that definitely means that you've got sponsors and leaders that are going to walk you through so many things. But at the same time, you're in business for yourself. You're the CEO of your own business, and so you want to know what you need to know, and you want to be able to refer and look through those policies anytime you have a question mark. Don't forget, customer service is also available for that. So those are things that are important for you. Okay, tonight's topic. Here's what we're going to do tonight for about 20 minutes. We want to talk to you about something that we're positive is going to grow you from wherever you are past it, if you can really grab hold of this concept. And I want you to think about a couple of things. These are very basic concepts, but I want you to remember that at the end of the day, what we do in AdvoCare is we retail products and we recruit business builders. So we have 2 pay periods per month, and you want to be able to know how your business is developing by looking at what you're doing each pay period when it comes to your numbers, okay? There's really 4 basic things that should always be happening within your business, okay? One is that you're retailing products. Okay, this is a product-driven business. We got to get products out there in the marketplace. Imagine if you owned a store, a Dillard's or Macy's or something like that. They look at the inventory coming in and the inventory going out. It's important that there's sales happening. Now in AdvoCare, of course, it goes so much past the sale, because we know that once the product is in someone's body and you're following up, you're in their life, you're beginning to be able to help them with solutions well past just the products many, many times. But you've got to get product out there. So 1, we retail products. Number 2, we recruit distributors, right? If you're doing AdvoCare the way Charlie Regas set it up, in order for you to build income, but not only that, to solidify forever wealth. In other words, the work you do way back at the beginning of your business will pay you years and years later. Then you're going beyond retailing product. You're recruiting distributors, you're enrolling people, getting them into the system. Now, how you do that, of course, is you show them their options, so that they know there's more to AdvoCare than just retail products, okay? But that's number 2. Now number 3 is we help people get to advisor, okay? Pay period after pay period after pay period. Your biggest goal is that as you're moving the message of AdvoCare into the lives of the people you know, you're going to retail product, you're going to enroll people as distributors, but there's that individual that sees more, that you're going to help them get to advisor. Okay, you're going to share the benefits of advisor, and they're either going to go directly there or you're going to work them there by helping them. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is you're going to help other people do the same thing. So you're taking these new advisors and you're teaching them how to retail and recruit, how to help people get to advisor. Okay, so that's pretty simple. If you're on this Ustream, you probably have heard that before, and you know that. Okay, and that's not the training for tonight, but here's what I want you to think about. Your paycheck, every 2 weeks, your paycheck, your PIN level, in other words, the progression that you're making through your business, both of those things are a direct reflection of how much or how little you're doing when it comes to retailing product, enrolling distributors, and moving people to advisor, and helping other people do the same thing. So if you have some pay periods where there's zeros or very low paycheck, or if you're not moving in PIN level progression, then not enough of that is going on. Okay, and so that's what I really wanted to talk about tonight. You know, you'll probably hear me do a little bit more talking than Andy because of the topic, because our topic tonight is fear. Okay, and that's a pretty deep topic for the very first Ustream, but in my mind it's like I want to cut to the chase. I want to help you guys right away really realize that this is so important to talk about, because the thing is, if you knew us for the last 10 years and you saw us, which nobody really except for a few friends early on, or my sisters, my family, but we have walked through a progression in the last 10 years, and we have had fear in many different areas of our Advocare business, right? But the thing is, we don't allow fear to stop us. Okay, now at the beginning we did allow it for a while to stop us from doing certain things, and we're going to talk about that. But at this point, it's so easy to understand what fear can do to our business, and so that's why we just don't allow it anymore. So my role tonight, my job, my heart is to just talk about it with you and really let you understand that. Now, Andy, you were talking about the fast stories in Advocare when we were chatting about this. I just want you to talk to them a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, first and foremost is that we all have fear. You know, when we start off, and it's all the different levels and all the different progressions as we progress through. But everybody has their own thing, you know, but fear is a big thing. But, you know, we all know the folks that come in and they just move really quickly. You know, they start from a place where they're just fearless at first, and they'll talk to anybody about Advocare. They'll show product with anybody. We weren't like that. I certainly wasn't like that. And, you know, what I want to just to say is that it's a decision, and it's a mindset. And because we know that people have just blasted through, you know, in the last couple of years, there's just been a lot of great success, fast success stories. So all that really does is confirm the fact that it is a mindset for us. And some people let it slow them down, some people let it stop them in their tracks, and some people they just go for it. So it is a mindset. Just understand that, and know that some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, it's just going to be a way to help you avoid getting slowed down or stopped in your tracks by fear. Right,
exactly. Because the thing is, I want you to ask yourself right now, what's stopping you from consistently and fully sharing the Advocare message and going for it with your Advocare business? And what we have we really understand is almost always it's fear. You know, sometimes fear looks like pride, and there's other things it can look like, but I'm just going to talk about some fears, and I want you to jot some of this stuff down because as you're listening, it won't always speak to you, but there's usually something that's going to speak to you, and then we want to give you some ideas on how to overcome that. Okay, so I'm going to read a few of them, and we might stop along the way and just talk a little bit about them. But a lot of times what we see in Advocare is that people won't share the message fully and consistently. Okay, and I'm going to keep talking about that, fully and consistently, because in order for you to get from point A to point B, in order for you to get exactly where you want to go in your life, you know, like right now, Andy and I are sitting in an unbelievably beautiful dream home. Our kids have no college loans. Andy's not working anymore. I mean, we have what we want, but it was because we got to point B because we took care of these things along the way. And it was not always fun, but it was so worth it. And we want you to know that. It's so worth it for you too. I mean, we just sit around sometimes and just still think, we can't, you know, we're so excited that this is here. And you need to know that you can have the exact same thing. But like Andy said, if you let fear stop you, Some people will actually run, turn the other way, and they're never going to see the finish line. We don't want that for you. Fear of, I'm going to start with number one. I started with my biggest fear at the beginning, fear of rejection. Okay, fear of rejection. Now I'm going to qualify this because when we first started in AdvoCare, when I said yes, I want to do this business, I actually was very excited about it. So I started telling people right away. It's when I got rejected for the first time, the second time, the third time, that I started kind of shrinking back. And all of a sudden, I wasn't fully and consistently sharing AdvoCare. Because I got rejected, I allowed that rejection to stop me. I started having a fear of more rejection, okay? So you may have that right now. Sometimes people have a fear of what others will think of them, okay? Kind of sort of related to rejection. You know, I know sometimes Andy just wouldn't talk about AdvoCare at all because of that fear, right? I mean, why don't you talk about that just a little bit?
Well, I mean, you know, we all wonder, you know, what somebody's going to think of us, and here's the bottom line: they're thinking of something about us anyway, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. Whether it's why does that guy work so much overtime, whether it's why do they do this or why don't they do that, the fact that we're doing AdvoCare and somebody may ask, or somebody may say to you, why are you doing something like that, direct sales? Well, it's always going to be something. Mm-hmm. So, you know, what I know is this: I can't control what anybody else thinks, whether it's about my AdvoCare business or whether it's about the kind of car that I drive or whether it's the way that we raise our children. It doesn't matter. People are going to think something. What we're talking about tonight is getting past that binding thing that just kind of freezes us and it stops us. And what we want to do is just allow you to just know, be free of that.
Yeah.
Know that people are going to think whatever they're going to think. Right. But once you get to where you want to be, or you're well on your way, and people can see that, then they'll think something a little bit different. Then they may be thinking, maybe I want to get involved in that. But here's the thing: people are going to think something. Understand it. We just got to get past that. Know what you want. Know what your goals are, and know what your purpose is. And that's really what you want to concentrate on. Exactly.
Here's some other things you guys might be thinking about. Okay, again, I want you jotting down what kind of fears maybe are stopping you from fully and consistently sharing AdvoCare. When I say that, by the way, you know what that means is you're facing a situation where you want to say something about AdvoCare, but you don't do it. Okay, you have to start looking inside and figure out, why am I not telling that particular person? Why am I not speaking up right now? Why am I just hiding behind the products and not mentioning the business at all with that friend? Okay, these are usually the reasons that that's happening. Fear of looking foolish. Fear of not looking cool. I never had that fear because I was never cool anyway. So, you know, we all have our different fears. So, but anyway, some people worry about that. You know, they're used to looking cool. So they're worried that this direct sales thing might not be cool. Well, you know, you might have to stop thinking that way in order to get what you want in life. How about this one? Fear of not knowing all the answers. How many of you have heard from a distributor, or you are the distributor who says, I'm going to study everything first before I tell anybody. I want to learn all about the products before I tell anyone about them.
All 70 of them.
Yeah, it can't happen. It's going to stop your business, and it's not duplicatable. So we want you to understand that while that might make sense, and here's why I know it makes sense. I was a school psychologist before AdvoCare, and you better believe I needed to know my stuff before I walked into a school, sat down with a child, did a full assessment on them, and wrote a report and labeled them with a learning disability or an emotional disturbance. Yes, I needed to be the expert. And so wherever you are right now with whatever field you have, your mind thinks that way, but you've got to flip it. In AdvoCare, you do not need to know all the answers. As a matter of fact, you don't even want to. You've got to get used to saying, I'm not the expert on that. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. How about this one? Fear of not being able to help the people you recruit. How many of you are really good at talking about products, but as soon as somebody says they want to do the business, you've got this little fear inside of you that says, oh no, I haven't made a lot of money yet. How will I help them do the same thing? Okay? These are things that shouldn't stop you, but they are real. They are real. And I want to talk about that. It's okay to feel those things. It's just, what do I do with that fear? You know, we want you to understand that you can move through it, you can move past it, and you can grow past it. Okay, so it's okay if you feel it. We're not saying it's wrong to have the emotion. What we're saying is move past the emotion. We really want to help you get past that emotion. Fear of doing something new. I mean, I'll just use Andy as an example. He worked at a chemical plant for 33 years. You think Advocare, direct sales, doing what we're doing wasn't new for him? It was new, right? But, you know, and that felt a little fearful, right? And it took some time to get past it. And he still doesn't like to talk about it, see? But that's okay. We just want you to understand that you might be experiencing the same thing, and we want you to get through it again. Biggest one for many, many people, fear of failure. Fear of failure. And I'm telling you, if you keep going with Advocare, if you keep pressing forward, you're not going to fail. You're not going to fail. You just got to believe me on that one. But let's keep going. Okay. How do you get past the fear? Well, first, like I said, be honest to yourself. Be honest about what you feel. That way you recognize it for what it is. Because a lot of times what people do instead is they make excuses. Okay, we've seen this. I've even done it myself so many times. At the beginning, you make excuses for why you're not setting appointments. Or you make excuses for why you're not doing mixers. You make excuses for why you're not going to events. But really and truly what's happening is inside you're afraid of one of those things I listed. Or maybe you jotted down a different fear. But really, if you can just get real about what you're facing as far as the fear and not make excuses, then you're going to get somewhere with Advocare, because that's when you can begin to just start doing the things that your leaders are going to teach you, okay? We have something called the Bulletproof Shield. Okay, I'm just going to hold up the paper for now. And what I want you to do is write down, if you're new, or if you're not using this, you've been doing Advocare a while, but you're still out there just trying to find out all the answers, I want you to really think about the Bulletproof Shield. Remember, we said advocaretraining.com has training videos. Go right to the new distributor training, and there's an entire video on how to handle the questions that you don't know the answers to. How to handle the things that you're already fearful about right now, that's going to be your answer right there. And so you want to make sure you know how to use it. And here's the other thing, use it all the time. Andy and I have been doing this business 10 years, and we still open the magazine and point to the scientists when somebody asks us an ingredient question. Okay, we still don't know all the answers, and it's fun at this point to just know that all we have to say is, I'm not an expert on that, but here's what I do know. So your Impact magazine is how you walk through that Bulletproof Shield, or your DVD, and the video teaches you all that, but you want to learn the Bulletproof Shield. You want to use it, and you want to use it always, okay? Because really, what busts through fear is the strength you have, and the trust you have, and the belief that you have in Advocare, okay? You can be successful here even before you believe in yourself. You can have a measure of success just by the belief you have in Advocare. And the way that happens is you get around it, you show up at the meetings, you start catching what's happening to people, and your confidence goes up. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get questions, and so you've got to use that Bulletproof Shield. And you want to talk about third-party credibility in your leader?
Well, I would just say that that's exactly why you want to get to events. This business is really built, and inside it's just kind of built in layers. And what getting to events does, you're going to hear people talk about the endorsers, the non-paid endorsers. You're going to hear people talk about the SciMed board. They're going to be using the Bulletproof Shield as they're talking to folks. And I'll even refer it back to the policies and procedures. It's a win for some people if you're talking to a new guy, somebody that's maybe a high-level professional. It's a win for you if you just show them the fact that we have policies and procedures. There are very specific guidelines. People need to know, what our business is, and that's the great thing about the Bulletproof Shield. It covers all of that for you. But also, it just deepens your belief system. Every time you use that, it deepens your belief system. For some people, all they need to hear is, well, you know what? I know Drew Brees uses these products, or you know what, my sister has lost X amount of pounds.
Right.
People just need to hear that you know somebody, or that when they come to events, they're going to see other people. As far as using your leaders for third-party credibility, three-way phone calls, two-on-ones, it's all part of our system. And I guess the most important thing I would say about that is this: that system's been working for 20 years, and it works. And like Karen said earlier, the thing about sticking and staying here is that, you know, we plant so many seeds in our first year. We've always heard that a lot of people, they kind of overestimate what they can do in a year, and they vastly underestimate what can happen for them in 5 years. So think long term, but think about what all we have to offer. And the more you're around AdvoCare, that, you know, the more you're going to learn, the deeper it's going to get in you. And you know what I can tell you is that it all goes back to what history. Learn your history. Learn policies and procedures. Learn where we came from. That's our 30 minutes. Learn where we came from, and learn, you know, the great things. Stories, absolutely stories, but also, you know, I always just think about our belief system here. You know, learn about our belief system. Learn about what the guiding principles that Charlie set in place for us. So here's what I know. Karen, you want to wrap this segment up, and then we'll get into the calls.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to wrap up with a couple of thoughts that we have to give you a little bit of meat to just write down and challenge you to walk through the next week or two and really start paying attention to what are you doing with AdvoCare consistently. What do you feel good about, and what are the things you're shrinking back from that you're not doing consistently and fully, and try to figure out why. Talk to somebody about it, but get honest with yourself. Once you know that, you're going to be able to bust through that. And then what we're going to do is let you text in questions. I'm going to give you the phone number one more time. It's 281-844-4591. And if you have a question, if you would, first of all, would you sign it with your name so we can start saving your phone numbers and your names in our phone? We might not recognize who you are. And just text us a question. But here's what I want to do. I want to just walk through a couple of things. Okay, we all have fear. One of the things about that is study fear. It's so good to just seek some wisdom in the areas that you're struggling with. So if that's something that you really want to conquer, grab a little book on it. Okay, and so you're working on your personal life with that. But on your AdvoCare life, just remember, use the Bulletproof Shield, use your sponsor, and keep staying in action. Okay, because when you're in action, it conquers so much of the things that you're worried about anyway. And the more you do AdvoCare, the better you get at it, the more comfortable you are, and you're going to get the wins. And so you want to stay in action. One of the biggest things that will take you out of the game is if you talk to one person and then a week goes by before you talk to somebody else. I mean, it's just like learning how to dribble a basketball or anything. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So you want to stay in action. Stay around AdvoCare. Again, the more you believe in AdvoCare, the more you'll trust the message that you're trying to share with people. So you got to show up at meetings and watch the webinars and talk to people who are having success. It's going to help you tremendously. Using the products consistently. You know, we meet people all the time who are saying yes to the AdvoCare business, and when they're struggling, one thing I'm realizing is they're not getting honest with themselves just about the fact that they're not consistently using Metabolic Nutrition System and Spark, at least the number 1 and number 2 products. So you have to, because when that product gets in you and you feel good about it, you're going to be able to talk more about it, right? And again, also we want to always connect that to business. The other thing, I want to talk about 2 more things. One of them is, and this is hard for a lot of people, and when you hear the beginning of this statement, you're going to think, whoa, I don't like that statement. I actually didn't at the beginning either, because it sounded like, it didn't sound like philosophy I believed in until I kept going when I was reading it in a book. And it's anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. Now think about what that really means. What that means is you have to be willing to do something poorly enough times that you get good at it. And that's what our AdvoCare business is really about. You know, if you think about any elite athlete, if you think about musicians, I mean, the most talented of the most talented musicians did not start that way. Picture being the mom of Mozart. You know, I'm sure at the beginning it sounded like tinkering, just like any other mom hears their kid playing on the piano. So you have to remember that anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly at first. And that's what Advocare, that's why we have a system in place. We want you to just keep doing that. And I'm going to tell you one more thing. This is something I truly believe covers all fear. At the end of the day, I truly believe love covers fear. Love covers fear. So if you're worried about what somebody's going to think of you, and you love them more than you're worried about that, you're going to share Advocare with them. I heard that once years and years ago from somebody. They said if you're worried about what they think of you so you don't tell them about Advocare, you're not loving them enough, because Advocare could help change their life. Or if somebody does reject you, let's say someone in your family says no, if you love them anyway, instead of being offended or being mad, that's going to conquer everything, and later down the road they may be interested in Advocare. And when you do that over and over again, you realize, I'm really not afraid anymore, because I have those negative feelings aren't in there. So I want you to think about that. And then Andy, I'm going to have Andy close with a very, very good, if you're afraid to take a risk in Advocare, whatever that risk is. See, for some people a risk might be buying their advisor order. For somebody else, a risk might be doing their first mixer by themselves. I don't know what your risk is, but each day we face something that might feel a little risky if we're feeling fearful or prideful at all, and we're worried about what someone's going to think. And this is a great kind of test of thought on taking the risk.
Yeah, and I don't want to mess it up. I thought I had it in writing here. Okay. And this came out of a book that the 10 distinctions between.
Oh, honey, take credit for it. Come on, just pretend you made it up.
No. It's great saying here. And so, you can use this for Advocare. You can use this for a lot of things when it comes to making a decision. But here's what this guy says. What's the worst thing that could happen if you make this decision? What's the best thing that could happen? And what's the most likely thing that will happen? And two things. If the worst thing that could possibly happen doesn't kill you or derail your business, if it's something that you can move past, or if you can live with it, or if it's going to move you close, or if you're successful with that and it's going to move you closer to your goal, then the answer is go for it, go with it. I mean, that's just kind of the criteria that we use for that, and so. A lot of times that's what we face, and sometimes it's just a matter of having a formula to get around it so that you can move on. So what's the best thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? And what's the most likely thing that's going to happen? And if you think about that, just think about what is the worst thing that could possibly happen if I step forward, if I share Advocare, or if I call up that person, that friend of mine. Mm-hmm. What's the worst thing that could happen? And if it's something that you can live with, then make that phone call.
Yeah, because if you can live with it, the worst thing, and if the most likely thing will move you closer to your goal, why not choose the most likely thing? Because that's our goal here. It's to help you move closer to your goal. And the more strong you get, the more you can help other people do the same thing.
And I think there might have been a commercial playing earlier. I think I've seen a couple of commercials come by. But the phone number is 281-844-4591. Any questions about tonight, about fear, or any questions that you have about your business, moving forward with your business, text us and we'll try to do a quick answer.
And for the Ustream guys, we're going to always have to deal with those commercials. I think there's a way for you personally to go to Ustream and pay $2 or $3 to not have commercials, but otherwise we're just going to have to live with that.
And we've got the replay as well that'll be up for a while. I know there's a little bit of a delay also, so this is our first one. We're just kind of putting our foot in the pool, seeing how cold the water is. But
you know what? Here's the real deal. I think I picked fear as the first decision or the first topic because we still face it. This is not like something that's totally comfortable for us, and we can use those same questions. What's the worst thing that could happen? We can live with it. We might mess up a little bit. Our camera might not work. Nobody will text us. No one will get on. We can live with it. We just but what's the most likely thing that could happen is that somebody's on here tonight who takes what we've taught, puts it into action, and someday they have the freedom we have. So, fear comes at every level, and it's not a big deal. It's not as scary as you think. You know, if you always look at it that way, you begin to kind of just enjoy the obstacles and just say it's okay. Did you get any texts? I got one, but that's not your number.
No.
Okay, Andy's going to do a little song and dance before we say goodnight, just in case there's no questions.
Our worst fear, one of our worst fears comes true. No, it's these things, we've heard so many great stories from other team and other leaders that have done this that, again, this is just something that we've grabbed hold of. We're not huge tech people, but, this is just something that we have seen some great things happen for some other teams and some other leaders, and we're gonna always do something if we think that it'll help our team as well.
Okay, and Titus is just saying it's something that was early on. It was probably because of a commercial, but he was asking about the 4 points. Your business really grows. Just simply retailing products. We talked about that. Enrolling distributors, helping people get to advisor, and then teaching others how to do the same thing, Titus. So thank you for that question. Yeah. All right. Cool.
That's the beauty of the clips. That's the beauty of having websites that you can send people to look at and check out, because if you send 5 people there, they're going to hear the exact and see the exact same thing. That's duplication for us. I mean, in our business, that's duplication.
Right.
So it's a great thing.
All right, guys.
Got one, Brenda Danley. Okay. How do I convince new people how important Success School is to attend? Brenda Danley.
That's a great question, Brenda. Okay, we want to convince people of things in AdvoCare, and we can't, can we? I think it's mostly about, first of all, if you know what they want out of AdvoCare and they've shared with you what they want out of AdvoCare, and it has anything to do with finances for their family or time freedom, they've actually given you a purpose and a goal. The only thing you can do is to really be strong enough and honest enough with them to say, this is what's going to get you where you want to be. I mean, people use different language. We hear people say things like lawyers go to law school, doctors go to med school, successful people in AdvoCare go to Success School. That might resonate with somebody, where somebody else it might be as simple as, until you see the big picture, you won't even know what you have your hands on. For somebody else, it might have to do with the fact that they get to be in front of the scientists and the successful distributors. Try to think about the person you're talking to, okay? In other words, some people operate out of a need for answers, and you can let them know that's where they're going to get their answers. Some people are looking to belong and to be a part. You can let them know that that's what's going to happen at school. Some people want to know that they're going to get help and support, and you've got to let them know that that's the biggest part of what Success School is going to do for them. And other people, you just got to let them know that until they step foot in that environment, they're not going to have what they need in order to be successful. You've got to think about what's in it for them, that they would get on a plane, especially you, Brenda, because you're coming from Kentucky. It's like the people in Oregon and on the West Coast. You've just got to let them know that if they want success here, until they step foot in that environment, they're not going to maximize their success. They're going to be taking the stairs to their success instead of the elevator. Okay, it's still up to them. Ultimately, it's up to them. I think another way to get somebody to Success School is not to explain everything about Success School, but rather to let them know you can't explain it. Sometimes people do really well with visuals or word pictures. So you can say things like, when right now I know you're excited about AdvoCare and you want to earn income, but all you've seen is like AdvoCare as if you're looking through the keyhole into a room. When you get to school, it's like you've opened the door and you can see the whole big picture. Other people talk about, I've heard people use the expression, it's like trying to understand what the Grand Canyon is really all about by looking at a photograph. There's a difference when you're standing at the edge and looking at the Grand Canyon. Then you know what you have your hands on, that you know what it's all about. That's the grandness of it. So word pictures sometimes make a big difference, but at the end of the day, it's got to be connected to their goal. It's got to be connected to their purpose and reason. If you know
that their purpose is income, if you know that they want to build a business, a forever business and substantial income, then it's just that's exactly what Karen said. It's explaining to them that where they're going to be going, Success School, Cowboy Stadium at this Success School, it's where all of the successful people are. Mm-hmm. So that's what you're really coming. You're coming to see a lot of different things. It's the elevator versus stairs. Yeah, but it cuts right to the core. When people walk into Success School and they see how many people are already a part of AdvoCare, that's an awe factor. And then after they're there for a while, they see the kind of people that are attached to AdvoCare, and that's another awe factor. And then there's the stage. Whether it's the new guys, or what do they call them, the rising stars, okay. Whether it's the endorsers, whether it's the seasoned veterans, whatever it is, they're going to see it all. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about Success School, it's everything. And so you can be excited about AdvoCare and go to Success School, and when they go home, when y'all go back to Kentucky, those people are AdvoCare is going to be in them. They're going to know what, and then they'll understand, that it's going to be hard for them to get people to Success School, but they've got to know, but they've got to go there to see it. Mm-hmm. But once you've seen it, it's a lot easier. It's like taking the products. Once they see Success School, once we see Success School, then it's easy to explain to somebody why they need to be there. And if you've got a purpose that you can attach to it, that's even better. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I was going to say too, with Success School, often the very best way to get someone there is to explain what happened to you at your first school. So I like to say that a lot. I like to talk about what happened to us after our first school, that we knew what we had our hands on. So that's one way. And if this is your first school, anybody out there, and you're trying to get people to it, and you've made the decision already, and you've already purchased your ticket, you're able to say, look, I've not even been yet, but I want the success that my leader has, and they let me know that this was important, so I'm going to trust that because I want to have the same success too, and I want you to. So while we're talking about Success School, we do have discounted tickets, and if you are somebody that is on this Ustream right now, we know you're committed, give us a text later and we will talk to you about our discounted tickets, and especially if you have long distance people that have to get on flights, or first timers, okay? So we can't promise everybody gets them, but you can reach out to us with that. And don't forget that another way to get people to get their ticket right now is that the price is going up July 1st. So cast that vision for them, let them know that they're going up. This is a once-in-a-lifetime Success School, and there's a lot of people out there that just want to be a part of something big and a part of a first. And just remember, this is a first. So again, know their personalities enough to help them understand what's in it for them.
Okay, here's a great question coming in from Portland, Oregon. This is from Jerry and Lisa Jackson. How can we build trust to build past our front-leg advisors?
Okay, that's a good question. How can we build trust to build past our front? Well, I think I'm interpreting the question right, that you want to have the person that you recruited introduce you to people. And I think that's the question. So first of all, just letting them know, here's what we do next. We want to be able to help you earn income. And so who do you know we can talk to? Getting that language to be very common. Every time you talk to somebody, here's what we do next. Based on what you said your goals were, who can you think of that we can talk to together? But let me talk to you a little bit about trust, okay? People will not follow you, meaning anybody, unless they trust them. That's the bedrock of everything when it comes to being a leader. And so as you're trying to lead other people, some basic things will help you establish trust. Always being a person of your word. If you say you're going to be someplace, be there on time. Making those phone calls if you're going to be late. Always being solid in the things you say, so consistent with what you've promised that you're going to do. That's a big way to build trust. And the bottom line is, sometimes we're recruiting someone we know personally, and sometimes we do have to develop that relationship by showing people how much you care. Not how much you know, but how much you care about them, getting into their life and really being sincere. And if you are finding that it might be difficult to get past people's front line, there may be just a little language that you're using that is, maybe you have a little shakiness or fear on how you're approaching it. So I don't know exactly what you're dealing with, but just know that trustworthy people are trusted. So, I know who's asking this question, and you're a wonderful person, but I don't mean it that way. But in general, we've got to always be consistent with what we're saying and doing. That builds trust with people specifically. And then secondly, just letting people know, here's how we're going to help you. Now, sometimes simply saying, I promise I won't embarrass you. I promise that I'll never embarrass you, and neither will Advocare if you introduce me to the people you know. So just letting them know up front what it's going to look like when you talk to them is another way to build trust, is just set up the expectation correctly. Okay?
I say also, if somebody's in your business, if you've recruited somebody, you've probably shown them Advocare. And I always like to tell people if they're asking about possibly introducing one of their friends, and I always let them know, hey, listen, they're going to see the exact same thing that you saw. There's not going to be anything different. Nothing's going to be different. I'm going to show them Advocare. We're going to lay out the ways that people are involved. I'm going to show them the business plan, all of that. They're going to see exactly what you've seen. So if somebody knows what their friends or what their family and relatives, what they're going to see, they're more likely to turn them over to you or to put them in front of you.
Okay.
Got another question here. This is a great question. This is from Barb Perry. Can you share a fear story from your beginnings in Advocare, and can you share it yourself?
Share your self-talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing that I always remember getting out of my box, man, was when after we had just been in this business for a while, they had, this little contest thing going around about sampling a Spark, and I think it was like 30 people or something like that, 30 people in a week or something like that. And you have to remember, I had been at my job for 25 plus years at that time, and we were pretty comfortable, and at that point in time, guys, this is a training. This was still kind of Karen's deal, but I was like, what, we're gonna found a place out of the plant that I worked at that was accessible by that Karen could drive into, one of the offices. We came in, we set up Spark everywhere, and then we just sampled a bunch of people that I worked with, people that I had known. Some people I had only known for a short period of time. Some people I had known for 15 years. And that was fearful for me. In my mind, I'm thinking, and it was Spark. We were just sharing Spark. How relevant is that? That's how we found this company, with Spark. And so, why wouldn't I share that with these guys? And because they lived and breathed the same world that I did, the same area that I did. But the things that went through my mind, it goes right back to what we were talking about earlier with fear. What are they going to think? What are they going to say? What are they going to say to each other? Will they even drink this stuff? And all those things that we think but what it all comes down to, I can tell you the end of the story. We did it. A lot of people drank Spark. I don't know that we got any business out of it. But today, we moved forward. What's the worst thing that could happen? What's the best thing that could happen? First off, it let everybody at my job know that I'm committed. I crossed that line. I put Spark in. We put Spark in a bunch of people's body. And 10 years later, things are pretty good. And so that's the best thing that could have happened for us. So
yeah, I'll tell you that one of the biggest fears that I faced was talking about business. And I'm going to just tell y'all right up front, save yourself a lot of time and don't let that fear stop you, because there is a saying, fear is false evidence appearing real. Okay, that was a wrong belief system that I had to learn how to get past. Okay, so I was afraid people I was afraid of what they'd think of me if I was trying to, push a business or talk about business and that kind of thing. And again, I had wrong belief systems about money. So the self-talk that I had to do to get past that. One was I actually asked for mentorship from somebody who was successful financially, and they are the ones that said, I don't know what your belief systems are about money, but you've got something you might want to think about. Because I couldn't even say how much money I wanted to earn in Advocare. It was too difficult for me to say anything bigger than $1,500. I was the person who was saying, it doesn't really matter how much money I earn as long as I'm helping people. And see, that just, you won't recruit ever if you say that. You can't recruit because the people you're looking for are people who need money. Okay? If you're just looking to recruit an entire team of helpers, you could have a volunteer organization for that. You know, we're looking for business builders who want to earn income. So I had to get past that. And my self-talk one was, why was I going to begin to get past it? Why was I going to bust through that fear? So I got real clear on my purpose. And I kept saying to myself, as a matter of fact, I not only had self-talk up here, but I said it out loud. I would say every day, I'm getting you home, babe. I'm getting you home. I'm getting you home. And I think it a lot, too. I think it all the time. So part of my self-talk and busting through that biggest fear that I had was my purpose. Okay? And so that's really important. And then the second thing I'd say to that is that I have, all the way through my business, anything I'm facing that's difficult, I study that subject. Okay, so that's why I said to you, study fear. So I went and studied my beliefs. I studied about money. I studied about what I did believe about money and what the reality was about, you know, people who earned income, and for me personally, what God thought of that. And I got past it because of that. But I was very intentional about busting through that fear. I was very intentional about changing my belief system on something. And remember, most of the time, if you're afraid of something, it's probably about a belief system that you have that's really not even real, you know, or not correct. I mean, and that's something that's bold for me to say, but it's because I've walked through enough of them that I realize the things that hold me back in life, usually, even though I believe them, they're not necessarily true. Okay? So I hope that helps you.
Yeah. I've got another question, good, and this is a great question. Honestly, this is a great question. How do you measure success in the early part of business, of building your business? And that's from Rachel. That's a great question. And you know, the fact is, you're probably going to get several different answers. I think, you know, how you measure success in the early part of your business is the DMO. How many people are you talking to on a daily or weekly basis, and just sharing the message of Advocare, or sampling people? Activity. It's really, you know, it's planting seeds, sampling spark, you know, sharing the business with somebody, the opportunities with somebody, and early in the game, it's not always going to be, you know, you're not always going to be able to talk about the money that you're earning, but you know, if you listen to Charlie Regis, he always talks about, you know, if you're whatever you're looking for here, we've got it. Whether it's products or whether it's income, and you know, there's even a clip in there, and we talked about this one earlier or before about, you know, if somebody wants to earn $100,000 a year, well then there's evidence that can happen also. Well, when he said that, there was nobody earning $100,000 a year. So my point is this: you can use other people's stories early in your business. How you measure success is putting product in people's body and sharing the message of Advocare. Yeah. And sometimes I think what really makes that easier, makes it hard, it's your wording, it's your language. Mm-hmm. You know, we got some great words early on. You know, hey, this may not be for you, but let me tell you something. If earning income is what you're looking for, let me tell you what's happening to some other people. So
yeah, and I want to add to that, Rachel, because obviously we have gauges. Okay, so you can think about your gauges. Are you retailing $100 a day? Do you have 1,000 at minimum, 3,000 max, you know, at least for growth in PGV? Are you enrolling distributors? But I think more than that, what Andy said is, are you walking through the DMO daily? Are you doing the basic things that you should be doing? And include in that, are you setting appointments early on in your business with your leader? Are you getting your people in front of third-party credibility? So sometimes people measure their own activity and say, well, I've done a lot of Advocare this week, but the people they've talked to have never walked through a process where they've gotten in front of their leader. So that's a piece of your success. Now from there, much of that is planting seeds. So I always like to tell my distributors, if you did the sample and followed up and got an appointment set, check it off the list as a win. Okay, those are wins because they'll pay off down the road. So you can't always have success in terms of how much income you're earning, because that might come a week down the road or 2 weeks down the road. But make sure that you're following. To me, success means you're following this success system. And to be successful, that's with enough people. Okay, so it's about numbers at that point. We are right at 9:30, and Tuli, I'm going to read your question real quick and give you a real quick answer because it came in a few minutes ago. I tried to, let's see where it is. My question is, what question do you and Andy end your 2-minute or 30-second story with? And how do you respond if they don't have a response? This could be an awkward moment. Okay, so what Tuli's talking about is if you share a little bit about AdvoCare with somebody, and then you're like, what do you say to get them to do something? A lot of times I'll say, is that something you'd be interested in finding out more about? Or, you know, would you be interested in sitting down and talking more about AdvoCare? And you've got to have, you have to ask something that's specific enough that they're going to say yes or no to. So that's what I like to say. I'd love to sit down and show you more about this. Could we pick a time that works best for you? That's some language that I like to use. And maybe we'll get to that question again and give you a little bit more, Tuli, on the next one, because at 9:30, what we promised was we were going to end our Ustreams so that y'all could really plan your Sunday nights and not feel like you were going to be stuck in front of the computer for too long. So we're going to see you next Sunday at 8:30, and we're so glad you guys got on. God bless you. Good night.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.